Hello, my name is Josh Kim. I'm from Team 6 and my tech tut is on Power BI. So a little bit about business analytics and visual interactive reports, which is the category that Power BI is under. They create the ability to visualize data through reports, and you can use these reports to assist in managerial decision making, as well as track live data and data additions. A little bit about Power BI. So basically, Power BI is a data visualization tool that allows you to connect data and create interactive, personalized reports to analyze data to deliver actionable information. It's kind of like any other data visualization tool that we've been discussing. Who uses Power BI? Anybody in the area of business intelligence analysts could use Power BI to assist in their reporting capabilities. A lot of consulting companies use this to advise their clients based off of data and help with management decisions, or simply anybody who wants to report on large data sets. These are some of the big users and partners that Power BI advertises on their website: Blue Granite, Eclipse, etc. Here are some features of Power BI. One of the biggest things about these visualization dashboarding programs is the ability to connect to big data sets. So Power BI places a big emphasis on the smooth and easy connections to these data sources. So they have a wide range of connectable data sources, and they have a commitment to adding new sources every month to add a flexibility to who can use Power BI, depending on what they're using to store their data. Obviously, customizable dashboards. They have a large collection of different reporting tools that you can use to build reports. And dashboards are a collection of these reports or visualizations, all combined into one page that can be published. There's things called tiles that you can use to organize these reports, and they're very simple to use. Drag and drop, click and expand. So it's a small learning curve. And they also allow for interactivity between reports, which I will demonstrate later in the live demo. One big thing that is a plus with Power BI is the interactivity within Microsoft. Power BI is a Microsoft platform, part of a Power Platform. So they have a very synced and smooth capability, especially with Excel and those data sets and tables, as well as Azure and Microsoft Power Apps, which is a data entry tool. Another big thing that Power BI is good at is the publishing efficiency. So once you finish building out your tools and creating your dashboards, there's a simple button you click to publish to the web version. And from there, you can find embed links to embed your reports and dashboards into websites, which would help in situations like ours as the CPSC team, where we have to embed our reports into the website itself to give access to the management and help them make decisions. As far as pricing, Power BI is on the lower end of the prices for some of these dashboarding tools. For Power BI Pro, which includes the desktop version, which is what I am using, it is $9.99 per month. And then there's also Premium, which gives you access to the AI and some other features, as well as everything in Power BI Pro. That is $20 per month. And here's a comparison to some major competitors. The scatter plot is from Gardner. It shows kind of a quadrant analysis of the bunch of different business intelligence platforms. You can see Microsoft is high up in the leaders area, along with Tableau and Qlik, which we will evaluate further. So you can see Microsoft is one of the leaders in this area. So here's a chart going through some of the comparisons between some of the top business analytics platforms. Here's the pricing columns. You can see Power BI is significantly cheaper than a lot of the other ones. Features are relatively the same going through all four of these. They all offer exceptional features with large amounts of visualization tools and the ability to connect to data well. Here are some of the pros and cons of Power BI and these other platforms. Pros: Power BI is easy to use, while a con would be the bulkier user interface, which you might see later in the demo. These are some of the pros and cons of the rest of the programs. So getting started with Power BI, you can follow this link and it'll take you to the Microsoft Power BI page where you could download the desktop version. And as a Virginia Tech student, we do have a Power BI Pro license, so you can use the desktop version and log in with your Virginia Tech ID. However, if you do not have a Virginia Tech account, then you will most likely have to pay if you have just the basic Microsoft package. Now we'll go through my demo. In the demo, I'm gonna start from the beginning with adding data to our report, and then I'll build two reports that show the interactivity of Power BI and some other functions that we can use to help make management decisions. So for this specific demo, I'm going to be importing from a sample set of data that I made in Excel, of data that uses the same columns as in our project, but is not directly from our database itself, as I had some issues connecting to the SQL server that our data is on. As I said before, I'm on the CPSC team, our project. So we'll locate wherever your Excel file is, very simple, click open, and we'll give it a second to connect. And here you can see everything inside of the Excel file. These with the little blue line on the top are all the tables that I've created, and these are just pages. So we don't need the pages for data, so we'll input each of our tables that we have. You can see examples of our previews of the data before, and we'll hit load. Give it a second to load in. And this data can be refreshed. So if there are changes within the Excel file, the connection has already been established. All you have to do is select refresh up here, and you would be able to see any changes that happen to the data set. So first, we'll take a look at all of our tables, make sure they were imported properly or synced properly. You can see them here with all the values. This section over here is the tables. Here is a relationship diagram. Since the tables are already built out and relationships were already established within Excel, we don't really have to mess around in here too much. As you can see, the relationships are already established. However, if you're creating data sets or tables in Power BI itself, you would want to come here and establish your relationships. So we will start by creating a pie chart. So you simply go to here, visualizations, add the pie chart. You can make it as big or little as you want, very simple. I'll close this to give us a little more space. And it's simple as drag and drop. So for this pie chart, what I want to do is show which investigators have been assigned, or the distribution of violations to investigators. So our legend will be the investigator first name. So as you can see, I drag and drop investigators into the legend, and you can see that these are all the investigators that I have in our data set. There's 4 of them, and they're all assigned violations. As you can see, they're linked here. So you go to violation, drag it into values, and you can see it's populated with our data set. So you can see Harry, the dark blue, is the most overworked right now with a count of 8 violations. And then you can see the distribution to the others. Now, if you want to format your pie chart to be more descriptive for anybody who might be looking at it from the outside, you'd want to come to the format visual here. Let's say we want to change the title. So you click general title and you could enter whatever text. So this chart would be violations per investigator. So that was a simple pie chart, which would help with managerial decisions on seeing which investigators have been assigned a large number of violations, who's overtasked, who's not completing their tasks, and make decisions based off that. So second, I want to add a bar chart here onto the same page. So I go over to visualizations, just hit bar chart, and you can see it automatically fills up the field for me. Let's do that. You can see again all the properties here. In this bar chart, I want to show the distribution of violations per recalled product. So how many violations are there for each recalled product? So similarly to the pie chart, our legend will be the names of the recalled products. So I'll go product name, drag it into legend. And then for the values, we're going to do something similar with violation ID and drag that into values. Oh, sorry, not into legend, into axis. As you see that what I just did, I just dragged product name into legend as well. So this adds the same coloring code into it. So we can see here, let's make this a little bit bigger and this one a little bit smaller. You can see the distribution of how many violations there are per each product. So these are our 7 products and the number of violations in each one. Now, while this is helpful information, if you want to be able to make a managerial decision, it would be helpful to be able to hover. See, there's a tooltip on these hovers. It'll be much easier to have or much more useful to have a hover that shows which specific violations are in this product. So what you want to do is add a new page. In this page, we're going to format it here in the format page as a tooltip. You want to allow as tooltip. This will allow you to add it as a tooltip function. Now here in the visualization, don't use any of these necessarily. we want to start by adding a filter based off of what we want to filter on when we hover. So when we hover, we want to filter based off of the product name that is being hovered on. So we drop that in here, and you can see all the product names are filled here. Now we want to add the values into our table. So we will add the violation ID, and you can see a list of all the violations, as well as which investigator is assigned to, not violation, investigator ID. We want investigator first name, so you can see which investigators are also assigned to this violation. Now, if you want to go back into page 1, you can see on the hover, instead of whatever information it was showing before, now it shows a list of the violation ID as well as the investigator first name. So managers can come in and see which violations are, well, like why there are so many violations in the microwave category, or why there are so many in airbag, and see which ones there are and take action on this. Now, another thing we can do for this specific report here, the bar chart, we want to create more restricted titles and access titles. So we can go to format for the y-axis. So the product name, yes, this is descriptive, but we can make it more catered to a customer or client. So just go product name there, and that changes your y-axis values. We could do the same for x-axis. So instead of count of violation ID, we would say number of violations. And then we can also change the title of the report itself to number of violations recalled product. So this will help a manager be able to make a better decision based off of knowing what the graph is showing. Now, another thing I want to do is add a different visual. This one being a slicer that has a filter on whether or not the violation has been resolved or is still unresolved. Because right now, this is just showing all violations, regardless of whether they are resolved or unresolved. So there's a little bit of fault there, as you might be showing false information to a manager on which violations are still open. So we want to make room for a slicer here. Here you can see the slicer. We'll format it like this. And in here, we want to filter based off of violation status. Drag that into here, and you can see it pops up. Violation status. You can check resolved or unresolved or resolved, and you can see the graphs change based off of that. Another thing we can do is there's interactivity between the graphs. So just by clicking here on microwave, we can see where microwave has been distributed to which investigator. We can do that for all of them, so you can see the distribution of the violations to which investigator. And then you can also do it the other way around. So we can see which recalled products Albus has been assigned to based off of the violations. And you can see they are filtered to show which ones are under Albus. So that was my live demonstration of creating these charts that would hopefully be helpful to a manager in making decisions. So with that, does anybody have any questions?